Today, we're diving into a conversation that's rarely spoken aloud, not because it's taboo or frightening, but because it carries with it a quiet reverence, a kind of sacred truth that most people don't know how to approach. You see, once you cross the remarkable threshold into your 80s, life begins to change in ways no one truly prepares you for. Not your parents, not society, not even your younger self who once thought old age was a distant concept. These changes are not just physical. They go far beyond the expected. The silvering of your hair, the softening of your skin, or needing an extra moment to recall a name or memory. Those are surface-level shifts, easy to recognize and often joked about. But what lies beneath those visible transformations is something far deeper, more intimate, and often invisible to the people around you. It's the emotional landscape that begins to shift. The way time starts to stretch and bend, how your relationships evolve or fade, and how your sense of identity subtly rewrites itself with each passing year. It's the realization that life no longer rushes. It slows, almost to a whisper. And in that quiet, you begin to hear truths you never noticed before. But let's be clear. This video is not meant to cast a shadow over aging. This isn't about fear or sadness. It's about truth, pure, unfiltered honesty that doesn't aim to scare, but to empower. Because when you know what's ahead, when you can name the changes instead of being blindsided by them, you gain something invaluable: clarity. And with clarity comes strength. The strength to embrace each day with a deeper sense of purpose and peace. You stop resisting the inevitable, and instead begin to shape your life around it with wisdom, dignity, and grace. So today, we'll walk together through 5 profound truths about life after 80. Truths that can be uncomfortable, even painful at times, but that also carry within them a strange and quiet beauty. These are not burdens meant to weigh you down, but lights meant to illuminate the lesser talked about corners of aging, the places where uncertainty, loneliness, and self-reflection often dwell in silence. I invite you to stay with me until the very end, because even though some of these realities may feel heavy, there is something incredibly powerful waiting on the other side. The beauty of acceptance, the quiet resilience that comes with age, and the unmatched dignity of living. Your final chapters not with regret, but with intention. Aging is not a loss, it's a transition. And when we face it with open eyes and open hearts, we discover that there is still so much life left to live, just in a different rhythm, with a different kind of strength. Truth Marga 1. The gradual disappearance of familiar voices, one of the most profound and often unexpected changes that comes with crossing into your 80s, isn't something you see in the mirror. It's something you feel in your heart. It doesn't announce itself with creaky joints or stiff knees. No, this one arrives quietly, almost gently. But it carries a weight few talk about openly. It's the soft, slow vanishing of the people who once formed the fabric of your daily life, the voices that filled your phone calls, your living room, your memories. They begin to fade. Not all at once, but little by little, like a photograph losing color over time. You begin to notice that the phone rings less frequently, the mailbox is lighter. The laughter that used to echo through the house during Sunday dinners or weekend get-togethers becomes a distant memory. The rhythm of life shifts, not because you've changed, but because the world around you has kept moving, sometimes without looking back. Those friends you built a lifetime with, the ones who knew your stories without needing the backstory, who remembered your favorite dessert or laughed with you at jokes decades old, some of them are no longer here. Some have passed on. Others have moved away, taken by circumstances, health, or family obligations. And some are simply no longer able to keep in touch, caught in their own quiet battles with aging. It's not always a dramatic departure. Sometimes it's as subtle as realizing the last time someone called was months ago. Or that the neighbor who used to wave every morning hasn't been seen in weeks, and when you walk by their home now, someone new lives there, younger, unfamiliar, disconnected from your chapter of the story. I once met an incredible man named Harold. He's 86 now, and he shared a memory with me that still lingers. For years, every Friday night, he and his childhood friends would gather around a kitchen table to play poker, not for money, but for camaraderie. Laughter, teasing, the occasional story no one ever got tired of hearing. But now that same kitchen table is quiet. The cards are still there, tucked in their worn box, gathering dust. "It's not that I don't want to play," Harold told me softly. "It's that there's no one left to deal." That kind of loneliness doesn't scream. It doesn't arrive with drama or tears. It shows up in the empty chairs at a table once full, in the silence after you tell a joke, instinctively waiting for laughter that never comes. It shows up in the grocery store when you catch yourself reaching for two of something, only to remember you're shopping for one. It's a hollow kind of quiet, not necessarily sad, but undeniably different. And yet, within that silence lies a choice, because while the past cannot be reclaimed, the present can still be shaped. New voices can enter your life. New routines can form. While it's true that most relationships in your 80s won't grow organically the way they once did, at work, at school events, in bustling social circles, connection is still possible. Just requires more intention. The era of spontaneous visits may be fading, but your capacity for connection hasn't. You can still pick up the phone. You can send a letter, or better yet, receive one. You can join a book club, walk into a senior center, attend a local event, volunteer, or even embrace the digital world, where communities of every kind gather online to share stories and support. Technology may feel intimidating, but it's also a bridge to new friendships, new interests, new sparks of joy. Will these new connections replace the ones you've lost? No. And they don't have to. The people who shaped your journey will always have a seat in your heart. But just because they're gone doesn't mean you have to sit alone in the silence they left behind. At this stage in life, relationships may not knock on your door the way they once did. But they're still out there waiting. And reaching out, extending your hand, your smile, your story, takes effort. Yes, but it also takes courage. And the beautiful thing is, you've already got that in you. You've lived through decades of change, of growth, of loss, of joy. You know how to endure. You know how to begin again even when it's hard. And now, more than ever, you deserve the warmth of connection. Not just for what it brings to your days, but for what it reminds. You are still here, you still matter. Your story isn't over. It's simply entering a quieter, more intentional chapter. So listen closely to the silence, and then choose to fill it. Not with noise, but with meaning, with connection, with the gentle reminder that though many familiar voices may be gone, yours still has so much left to say. Truth number 2, a body that no longer negotiates. By the time you reach your 80s, something fundamental shifts. Not in your mindset, not in your memories, but in your body's relationship with you. In your earlier years, your body was a partner that could be reasoned with. You could pull an all-nighter, skip meals, overdo a workout, or shrug off a fall, and somehow you'd still bounce back. You'd be sore, perhaps, but not stalled. Injured, maybe, but never truly halted. You were in a conversation with your body, a negotiation. But in your 80s, the negotiation ends. Your body no longer waits for permission or bargains with you. It simply decides. A sore muscle no longer fades in a day. That stiffness in your knees doesn't loosen up after a few steps. It stays, lingers, and becomes part of your rhythm. Illnesses that once came and went like passing rainstorms now settle in, requiring time, care, and a kind of patience you never needed before. You stop measuring recovery in hours or days and begin to count it in weeks, even seasons. What used to be minor now carries weight. A slight misstep that once prompted laughter and a joke about aging might now send you to the ER. A bruise from bumping into a table no longer disappears by the weekend. It tells a story for weeks. Even a common cold isn't so common anymore. It can take root and linger, turning ordinary rest into enforced isolation. I remember speaking with a lovely woman named Meryl, 83, dignified, sharp and honest in that way only people who have nothing left to prove can be. She said something that stuck with me. It's not just that I'm slower, it's that I have to plan everything. Getting out of a chair, walking across the room, opening the fridge. It's all a strategy now, and she's right. That's the truth so many avoid saying out loud. The simple things become calculated. Movements you once made without a second thought are now planned with the precision of a dance. Getting dressed, reaching for a glass, bending to pick up something from the floor. Each of these becomes a decision, and decisions take energy. This is the part of aging no one prepares you for. It's not the grand medical diagnoses or the dramatic hospital visits that wear you down. It's the accumulation of effort, the quiet fatigue of constantly adjusting, constantly thinking, constantly working to keep pace with a body that no longer races ahead of you but insists you walk beside it, slowly. But here's what's so often missed in this story. This change doesn't rob you of power. It simply invites you to discover a different kind of strength, one rooted not in force but in wisdom. You begin to move with awareness. Every action has purpose now. You sit with more care. You choose your shoes not just for style, but for balance. You keep water within reach, not because it's trendy, but because hydration affects everything now. Rest is no longer seen as laziness. It becomes a deliberate, vital act of self-preservation. You stop rushing, not because you can't, but because you finally understand it's not worth it. You learn to say no, not just to events or invitations, but to the pressure of doing everything, being everywhere, pleasing everyone. Your body forces you to choose, and in doing so, it helps you focus. And there is beauty in that. Sure, you may not be able to climb the stairs two at a time anymore, but you take them slowly, hand on the rail, noticing things. The texture of the wood, the light through the window, the sound of your breath. In a way you never did when you were hurrying. Life becomes more tactile, more present. You're not just moving through it, you're feeling it. And while your bounce back may be slower, your understanding of balance is deeper. You no longer push through pain just to keep up. You listen. You pace yourself. You become an expert at self-regulation, something younger versions of you never quite mastered. It's easy to see the limitations. And yes, they're real. But with those limitations come lessons. You begin to honor your body, not for what it used to be, but for what it still allows you to do. You celebrate the walks you can take, the meals you can cook, the flowers you can plant, the notes you can write. You begin to appreciate how miraculous it is simply to wake up and move through another day, even if more slowly. If you're still with me at this point in the video, and this reflection is resonating with you, let me know by commenting "still strong" below. It's more than just a comment, it's a declaration. A quiet but powerful reminder that though the body may change, your spirit, your will, your grace, your presence is very much alive. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider becoming part of this community. Here we don't shy away from the hard truths. We face them together and with heart, with honesty, and with hope. Because aging isn't just about what we lose. It's also about what we gain. Clarity, purpose, and the courage to keep showing up, one step at a time. Let's continue. Truth Thurger 3. The slow slide into dependence. Even the most fiercely independent people will, eventually, face moments where help is no longer optional. That's a hard truth, especially if you've spent your life taking care of others, making decisions, being in control. But after 80, you begin to see how even the simple things, opening jars, buttoning shirts, carrying groceries, can start to feel like climbing a hill you never noticed before. At first, it's just an occasional hand here or there. But slowly, the support becomes routine, and that shift can sting. Not because help is bad, but because needing it makes you feel different. It's the subtle change in your identity, from the helper to the helped. But needing assistance doesn't erase your worth. There is deep dignity in knowing your limits and in letting others in. You're not a burden. You're a human being continuing a journey. And like every journey, it's okay to lean on someone along the way. Let them open the door. Let them carry the bag. Let them be part of your world. Because here's the hidden beauty in dependence. It creates new forms of closeness. It teaches younger generations how to show up. And it reminds us all that care isn't weakness. It's love in action. Truth 4. The world begins to look past you. This is perhaps one of the hardest changes to articulate, but you feel it. You walk into stores, and people address the person with you instead of speaking directly to you. You go to a doctor's appointment, and they explain things to your adult child rather than to you. You express your opinion, and it's dismissed as outdated, irrelevant, old-fashioned. It's not that the world is cruel. It's just fast, and in its rush toward innovation and youth, it often forgets the treasure of lived experience. But your presence still matters. In fact, it matters more than ever, because it carries wisdom no algorithm can offer, no search bar can find. Speak up, share your thoughts, write them down if you must. The world may not always turn its head toward you, but that doesn't mean you're invisible. It just means you have to claim your space a little more boldly. Truth number 5. Regret feels heavier with time. There's a quietness that comes with aging, not just in sound but in speed. The world doesn't move around you as quickly anymore, and for better or worse, that slowness creates space. Space to think, space to remember, space to feel, and in that space, the past comes knocking. You begin to revisit decisions, not always on purpose but involuntarily. Like reruns of old films you didn't mean to watch again. You remember the time you stayed silent when you should have spoken up. The friend you lost touch with because you thought there would always be time to reconnect. The apology you never gave. The risk you never took. The dream you folded away, promising yourself you'd chase it someday. Now here you are, decades later, and someday never came. This is the truth no one prepares you for in the glossy brochures about retirement or golden years. Regret gains weight with time. It settles deeper into your bones the longer it's unaddressed. It shows up in the early hours of the morning, when the house is still and memory is loud. It hides behind old photographs and familiar songs, whispering, "What if?" But here's the truth that might just change how you carry it. Regret is not a life sentence. It's a sign of life. It means your heart still works. It means you're still in touch with what matters. You still care about love, connection, meaning. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel the ache. There's beauty in that. Tremendous beauty. Because feeling regret isn't failure. It's a form of emotional honesty. And that honesty, it can lead you somewhere healing. Too often, people assume that by 80 or 85 or 90, the story is done. The chapters are set in ink. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Your story is still being written, right now, this very moment. And in these final chapters, you hold the pen. You can't change what happened, no. But you can change what it means to you now. You can forgive someone. You can forgive yourself. You can reach out with a letter, a call, or even a prayer. You can acknowledge the pain you caused, and in doing so, release some of the pain you carry. There's no expiration date on healing. None. I remember talking to a man named Eugene, 88 years old, who told me about his brother, someone he hadn't spoken to in over 40 years. They had argued over something small, but pride built walls over time. One day, Eugene sat down and wrote a letter. Shaky handwriting, short words, but an open heart. "I'm sorry for everything, I miss you." He didn't expect a reply, but one came. That letter led to a phone call. That call led to a visit. And that visit, it softened the weight of decades. Not all wounds heal completely, but even a scar tells you something important. You survived it. So if you're sitting with regret, know this, you're not alone. We all have it. Every life long lived is full of choices we'd remake if we could. But that doesn't make your life less beautiful. In fact, it's the cracks and imperfections that make the story more real, more tender, more human, and being human, fully, vulnerably human, is the bravest thing there is. You still have time to give meaning to the years behind you. You still have the power to rewrite the way you remember. You still have the chance to choose peace over punishment. Because the peace you find in yourself is the peace you pass on, to those you love, to those who follow, to the legacy you leave behind. Final thoughts. Aging beyond 80 is not a slow fade into the background. It's not a defeat, a burden, or a mistake. It is a threshold into a deeper, more intentional kind of living. Yes, your body changes, your circle shrinks, the noise of life quiets, and the world may feel like it's moving past you. But that's only half the picture. The other half is full of light. You gain clarity. You begin to see what truly matters, and what never really did. You stop performing for others and start showing up for yourself. You discover the value of stillness, the power of small kindnesses, and the freedom that comes from letting go. You're not just growing older, you're growing wiser, more compassionate, more present. You're becoming more of who you've always been meant to be, peeled back of all the distractions, all the pretending, all the noise, and that, my friend, is sacred. So if you're watching this right now, whether you're 60, 80, or 90, know that you are seen, you are needed, and your story still matters. Every day you wake up is a new chance to love, to connect, to reflect, and to leave behind not just years, but meaning. If this video resonated with you, drop a comment below. Maybe just one word. Peace. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider joining our community. We're here for the real conversations, the kind that speak to the soul, not just the surface, because aging is not the end of the story. It's the part where the truth becomes clearest. And that truth? It's beautiful. Thank you for staying with me through this conversation. If you found it valuable, please share it, subscribe, and join the comments below. I'd love to hear your reflections. Until next time, take care of your heart, your mind, and your spirit.